Let's talk about the Ten Commandments. On Saturday, I used the fourth commandment to talk about our human need for rest. It prompted me to think again about the Ten Commandments as a whole. So in these 2 weeks before the beginning of Advent, I thought we would walk through the commandments. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Monday, November 18th, 2024. In nearly every generation, Reformed thinkers have returned again and again to three touchstones of the faith to get their bearings: the Lord's Prayer, the Apostles' Creed, and the Ten Commandments. As a result, we have a lot of history of reflection on these three brief documents. Now, we all know the Ten Commandments, or at least we think we do. Actually, you might want to pause this video and see if you can name them. Name them all correctly and in order, and you go to the head of the class. It's actually trickier than you might think. That's partly because there are two versions of the commandments in the Bible, one in Exodus and one in Deuteronomy, and there are some differences in detail between them. On the whole, though, they are the same. Also, you may not be aware of this, but different traditions number them differently. There are at least 7 different ways different traditions number the commandments. We Reformed Protestants follow the numbering system that first appeared in the Greek translation of the Old Testament called the Septuagint that came from about the 3rd century BC. But Jews, Catholics, Lutherans, and others divide them differently from the way we do. But for a variety of historical reasons, most Americans are most familiar with the way we number them. I won't dwell on this as we go through them, but I'll just note some of the differences along the way. One thing everyone agrees on is that the Ten Commandments divide neatly into 2 sets of commandments. The first 4 commandments have to do with our relationship to God. The final 6 commandments have to do with our relationships with one another. In fact, this is mirrored in Jesus' answer to the question, which is the greatest commandment? Jesus' answer quotes from both Deuteronomy and from Leviticus when he says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets." So, 4 commandments concerning our relationship with God, and 6 concerning our relationship with each other. Interestingly, but perhaps unsurprisingly, the 4 commandments regarding our relationship with God are actually longer. It's almost as if to say, pay special attention to these, for everything else depends upon them. And that's true. For if we do not love God but treat others well, it is ultimately meaningless. And if we say we love God but treat our fellow human beings poorly, we only prove that we don't truly love God. For how can we love God if we hate the very people whom God loves? The first 4 commandments, therefore, are pivotal, not only for our relationship with God, but as the foundation for our relationship with one another as well. Everything depends on our love of God. And so with that, let's be about the task of walking through these 10 commandments. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the first commandment, or at least the first commandment as we Reformed Christians understand it. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.